So at this point, when we click on each one of these lists, right, item, we go to detail screen, and nothing is really happening because we don't have information, right, about what we've just clicked. So the idea is when we click, we want to pass some data. In this case, we're just going to pass the title of each one of these movies when they are clicked to show them here in the details page or screen. So how do we do that? Well, let's go to our movie navigation here. So if you look at our composable here, this is the composable that describes the detail screen, right? So we call this and then we go to detail screen. This is a navigation tree, right? This is a navigation graph. So what we need to do is very simple. All we have to do is to append, because remember, this linking that we have here, this navigation, is mimicking how we navigate in the web. Okay, so we said, for instance, www.google.com, and then we go to this route, let's say person. But now that we are in this route person, or rather detailed screen, right, just to give an example, now what we want to do is we want to pass some parameters, we want to pass some information. So in the web, we have something like this. This ID is equal 34. So now we're going to pass some data. This is the part of the data we're going to pass. All we do is to append, as you see here, we're going to append / and then the information we want. So I'm going to say plus and put double quotes / and then I'm going to put inside of curly braces. This is very important. In this case, I'm going to name the value or the variable that's going to be holding the information. Let's just say movie for now. Now we also can pass more information about this argument that we're passing. If you hover over in composable, you can see it has the route parameter, which we pass, and then we have the arguments, which you see here. It's going to be a list of named arguments. Now, if we don't do anything right now, just leave like that, so we don't actually add the arguments, right? It's going to be okay because the default argument type is always going to be string. However, I'm going to pass it here so that you know how to do, and I'll recommend that you do this whenever you wanted to pass arguments. So I'm going to say arguments. In this case, I'm going to make it a list of, so we can pass a list of arguments. And here I'm going to say nav arguments. So this is the type function we're going to pass. And inside here, I'm going to pass the name of the argument. The name is going to be movie. Has to be exactly the same. Or passed there, the same that we passed there. Okay, and after that, I'm going to pass the actual type. So I'm going to say type, set that to nav type, string type, like this. And you can see if I say nav type, click, there are all these different types we can pass. Okay, for now, we just want string type. So what we're saying here again is that the arguments that we're expecting is going to be a list, even though the list only has one item. That's okay. And we pass the nav argument, which is going to be movie, and then the type is going to be a string type. Okay, very good. So at this point here, we establish this connection. We say we do have the argument we're going to pass, which is going to be movie, and the type is string. Now, once we get there being inside of detailed screen, how do we then retrieve that information? In this case, the information we're going to be passing from this argument. If you look at our lambda here, this is the composable lambda. We have here access to this nav backstack entry. So I'm going to actually put that in a new line and say backstack entry. So what this is really, it's going to be, what this is a variable that contains the information we want. For instance, we can go and get the arguments values and so forth. And that's handy because then we can pass that into our detailed screen, which is exactly what we want. So in this case here, I can just go ahead and say something like this. Backstring, backstack entry. I'm going to say arguments. I have access to the arguments. And in this case here, because it's nullable, I'm just put, and then I'm going to say get string like this. Okay. What string I'm going to get, the key is going to be movie. Okay, there it is. Now we're going to have an issue here because if you have over, we haven't specified in our details. Let's go ahead and click here. We need to actually add a parameter to function details screen to say, okay, we are expecting to receive something. In this case, it's just going to be a string. It's okay, just click like that. And if you go to details, you can see now that was added there. So in this case, instead of just string, let's call this, because this is nullable, that's why we have the exclamation point. All right, so now I can just pass that movie data, say movie data as such, and because it's nullable, I'll have to probably surround that, or let's just call to string. That will solve the problem. Okay, and there we have it. But we're not done yet because we've set up the mechanism to pass data from home screen to details. Now we have to actually pass the actual data. Where do we pass that? Well, remember we have inside of our home screen, inside of our LazyColumn, we have movie row and we have that lambda, whatever we are clicking. In this case, this is going to be the name of the movie. In fact, I can change this to say movie, right? In this case here, I'm just going to pass through, and now we have this navigate. We pass in the route. Look at this detail screen.name. That means then I can pass it just like we would do in web. I'm going to say plus to concatenate, right? And then / like this, and pass our movie string here. Make sure you do add / because remember, this is almost like a link, right? We're saying now we're passing this argument into our route. All right, there it is. So now let's go ahead and run this. Okay, moment of truth. If I click avatar, oops, it looks like we're having some issues. Let's go to run and see what the problem might be. Looks like unsupported exception. Arrays don't support default values. Maybe I passed the wrong. Ah, you're right. This is the problem. This is supposed to be string type, not string array. I had it before, but I think I mistyped and added the wrong type. Ah, that's the problem, right? It says arrays don't support default values. That was the problem. It should be good. Okay, types are very important. Okay, let's go ahead and run again. This time we should hopefully be able to see good results. Click 300. There it is. And let's click Harry Potter. Okay, so we are able to pass information through our navigation, which is real exciting. Now you can see you can do all sort of things, right? The idea is, for instance, if this were an object, a movie object, it would have more than just a title. Then we could pass the ID, and then when we get here, get that ID and get now the object information, more fields, and we can populate here to create the sense that to create that details page. And here what we can do, let's put that inside of a surface and put that inside there, remove all of that, and pass the modifier, max height, max width, okay, and we can make this perhaps, let's say, give it a style, say material, theme, typography, let's see, H5, that's fine. And if we wanted, we can just put this inside of a column. And get all of that and put in the middle there. Say horizontal alignment, center horizontal, and say vertical arrangement. I want that to be in the center. All right, this is just play at this point. Let's see what we can get here. And there you have it. So now it's in the middle there. All right, this is really good. Let's go back, happiness, and we are passing the correct data.